So, what are the current trends in college admissions? Well, one is that students are applying to a greater number of colleges. And one reason for that is something called the Common App, which you will hear more about when you're in the admissions process. That's an application that you complete online, and then you can send it to many different colleges by completing the one application. So that makes it easier to send college applications to numerous colleges. So that's one of the big reasons that students are applying to more colleges. And also, the more selective institutions that you are applying to, the more you want to make sure that you're going to have good options. And so we advise that if a student is applying to many, many very selective institutions, that they do make sure they have enough colleges on their lists so that they will have lots of choices. There's something called demonstrated interest being a factor because students are applying to so many colleges. Colleges can no longer be sure that when they receive an application for a student, it's because the student is super, super interested. It's a possibility that the student just sort of added them at the last minute, even though we discourage that. So for that reason, colleges, when they're looking at applications, they look for as this what's called demonstrated interest. So what is that? That might be that they look to see, did the student visit campus? Did the student participate in an admissions webinar online? Did the student reach out to an admissions representative to ask a question? It can be all things like that. And those things, can give the college a good sense that the student is really interested. Some colleges, again, those that are very selective, that receive many, many applications, may not pay attention to that at all. But for others, they may. So if you are very interested in an institution, make sure you make a connection, and that can be helpful in the admissions process. Let's talk about social media. Social media, the pros and the cons. I mean, one nice thing is that all colleges have social media accounts these days, and they put a lot of information out there in that way. So it's a great way for a student to really get a sense of what's happening on campus and stay connected to the different institutions. So that's terrific. The one warning and caution that I continue to give is that if a student has social media profiles out there, make sure that you would want a potential employer, the potential college, an older relative, anything to be able to see those posts and your social media profiles. So you just want to make sure that there's nothing out there that could ever give anyone a reason to think that you might not be a serious student, for example. Cost is becoming a bigger factor in the admissions process, and rightly so. We encourage families to consider affordability when thinking about advising your students. So students consider it, parents consider it, because while there are many factors in choosing a college, making sure it's affordable for you, the student, and you, the parents, is very important. So college is expensive, and you do want to make sure it's affordable. Um, After the pandemic, well, during the pandemic, colleges did a lot of things virtually. So they did interviews, offered interviews with students virtually. They gave campus tours online. They held information sessions online, all of that. And the nice thing is they continue to do a lot of that. So now students have the option to participate in many in-person events on a college campus, but also to take advantage of virtual events, especially if colleges are not located near where you live. So that's a great thing. There are also more test optional colleges, meaning there are fewer colleges that require the SAT or ACT. So you want to look into that when you're looking at what's required for college admissions at the different colleges. And because there are fewer tests, there are more test optional colleges. Um, that means that higher numbers of applications are going to a lot of colleges. So again, That's a good reason you should really take the time to create a balanced list. The key is that you want to have choices senior year in the spring when it comes time to choosing a college. And lastly, longer wait lists as well, because more students are applying to different colleges and not everyone can be admitted, even if you're totally qualified. There are there are wait lists. All right. Stay organized with the process. And it really doesn't matter how you do it. You're going to find your way to do it. But MIFA does have a college application manager that you can download where you just keep track of the colleges you're interested in. You keep track of admissions deadlines, financial aid deadlines, do you have to take the SAT or ACT, or are they test optional? And any notes. You think you're going to remember everything, but it's helpful to jot down your impressions as you learn about these different colleges. So you can use that. You can create your own spreadsheet. You can have a big whiteboard next to your desk. You can keep it on your phone, whatever works for you, but stay organized with this process because there are a lot of little pieces.